200-meter day. The 200 is one of my favorite races to both watch and run in track and field. It doesn't get the glamour and the glory that the 100 does, but I think it's actually a little bit more fun to watch than the 100. The reason is the 100 meters is so short, it's so quick, the runners are so bunched together that it can be hard sometimes to see what's going on. The 200 is longer, the runners spread out a little bit more, you can see the race develop, you can see runners that get slow starts, fight their way back on the long stretch at the end. It's really an exciting race to watch, and it's a lot of fun to run. It's one of my favorite races to run. I'll get into that in a little bit. All right, so let's talk 200. If you remember the 100-meter race, the names in the 200 are gonna sound really familiar. In 2016, 200-meter Olympic champions were Usain Bolt and Elaine Thompson, both from Jamaica, same as the 100 meters. Usain Bolt ran a 19.78, which, just like the 100, would have been a great time for almost anybody else. For him, he was really disappointed in the time. When he saw his time, he was so frustrated, he ripped the lane marker stickers off his legs and crumpled them up and threw them to the ground. He knew it was going to be his last competitive 200-meter race ever, and he had talked about wanting to go under 19 seconds, which nobody's ever done before. He holds the world record at 19.19, which bettered the record of Michael Johnson at 19.34. Only one other runner in history has ever gone below 19.3. That's Bolt's teammate, Johan Blake, who ran a 19.26. No one else has come within 19.5. So he holds the record by at least 0.3 of a second, and almost half a second faster than anybody else besides Michael Johnson. Elaine Thompson ran a 21.78, exactly 2 seconds off the pace of Usain Bolt. That clinched the double, the 100 and the 200 for her and Bolt. That 100-200 double at the Olympics is actually a very rare thing. Bolt pulled it off for the 3rd Olympics in a row, but besides him, the only men that have done that are Carl Lewis and Jesse Owens. For the women, it hasn't happened since 1988 with Florence Griffith Joyner. Florence Griffith Joyner holds the world record at the 200 meters with a time of 21.34. Just like her 100-meter record, it's pretty much considered untouchable. No one's come within 0.3 of a second of that record since 1988. We're going to see the same 3 phases of the race that in the 200 as we did in the 100. That is the drive phase, the stride phase, and the deceleration phase. On the drive phase, you'll oftentimes see runners get a little bit more upright than they would in the 100. That's owing to the difficulty of accelerating around the curve. One thing you see me here not doing a real good job of is managing the curve. You tend to want to stay on the inside of the lane, as tight to that lane line as possible to save a little distance. This second half of the curve is where runners are going to hit their peak speed. It's a little surprising to hear that they're going to hit their peak speed this early in the race, and that means that most of the race is going to be run in the deceleration phase. Now this is it here. This is my favorite part of the 200, and the reason that it's one of my favorite races to run. That's a transition from the curve to the straight. If you hit that curve fast enough, your momentum is going to pull you to the outside of the lane, and for a split second you're going to feel weightless as you float through onto the straight. It's really a magical part of the race. All right, so here we go with the 200. My lifetime best is somewhere around 24.9. There's no way I'm hitting that today. If I get under 30 seconds, I'll actually be pretty happy with what I'm able to do today. So here comes the transition from the curve to the straightaway. This is really where it's about maintaining that speed and holding on as long as possible. And if you notice, the time Bolt would be just finishing now and Thompson finishing now, about 50 meters from the finish, and they're already done. So here we come up to the line, 27.8, not too bad.